Hi everyone, very good afternoon. Thank you all for joining in, and we'll get started in next 2 minutes.
Hello, all. Good afternoon. Welcome. My name is Avinash, and today I will be going forward with this master class of security in OutSystem application. So let me just share my screen. Anu, should I start?
Yeah, Vinash, please go ahead.
Yes. I hope my screen is visible to all.
It is not yet now.
Is it now visible?
Yeah, we are able to see it. Awesome.
So today we'll be talking about security fundamental in OutSystems. So this is the agenda. We'll be discussing about what is application security, what are the basic security in our system that we can do, what are the common security threats that we face while developing any application, why is security in application development important, and many more other topics that we are going to cover. So let us start with what is application security. So web application security is practice of protecting website, our APIs, our application from any attacks, cyber attacks that can tamper our application, that can tamper the user experience and the data. So it is a broad discipline, but its ultimate aim are keeping web application functionally smooth and protecting business from any cyber vandalism, data theft, unethical competition, and other negative consequences. And here in OutSystems, we OutSystems help us to provide enterprise security with its many features that OutSystem provides us. So secondly, we will be understanding the main, uh, the basic pillar of information security, that is a CIA trait. So CIA is very important, and it is a base pillar of information security within an organization. CIA here stands for confidentiality, integrity, and availability. Uh, they basically provide a guidelines that protect an organization information, that how we can apply the security practices within an organization and application, so that we remain safe from any cyber attack or any other cyber threat. So now let us talk about confidentiality. As we all know, confidentiality in a simple term is an assurance that an information is accessible only to those who are authorized to have an access. In our system, we can provide authorization and authentication to our application. The first thing that we can do is we can secure through uh, role-based protection to our screen. We should not we should not uh, we should not leave the screen anonymous so that it can be accessed to any other foreign person who can access our information. So uh, we should do the necessary role based authentication in our application. We can confidentiality also guarantee by controlling the access to information, making sure that only the authorized person can access the required information. Secondly, as I told that it must be a subject to role validation, and OutSystem provide a role-based access control within our application, which can be done through the OutSystem Service Studio, and also we can control uh, role-based security through lifetime in OutSystem. So other the next part is integrity. Integrity means trust for worthiness of a data or resource in terms of preventing improper or unauthorized changes. Here, I would like to explain with an example that if any other person access our data, he can tamper our data or do changes in our data, which can lead to duplicacy of data or tampering of data. So that should be avoided. The basic thing we can do to avoid this is we can take a backup of our data, so that even if there is any threat or data change in our application, there is a backup, so we can recover that and we can reverse the damage that if any damage has been happened in our data or our application. So third is the availability. So availability assure that the system is always available uh, at any end, and the critical information is always available to authorized users only. So for this, we can make use of high availability systems. High availability systems are computing resource that have architecture specially designed to improve the availability of a system, whether it is related to hardware, software, and it also protects sensitive data and make sure that sensitive data is always available to authorized users. Uh, Most importantly, CIA trade has also some complementary concept that are recently added, which are authenticity and non-repudiation. Uh, so these are the most recent complementary concept of CIA model that have been added recently. The next part that we are going to uh, look is the next part that we are going to look are common security threats. We all know that in world of internet, cyber security nowadays is increasing rapidly to harm the user application, user data, and other thing. So some of the common security threats that we see in our day-to-day life are phishing. Phishing attacks involve in which the attacker target the users through email, text, SMS, or social media messaging site. Nowadays, we get many phishing messages like you won some particular amount, and if you click on this particular link, so that the money can be debited or the money can be credited to your account. So these are all phishing messages that we receive. Basically, if we click on this link, the attacker can easily get access to our device, and the necessary or important documents can be accessed by them, and we can face many consequences like money loss or any other thing. So a successful phishing attack can also result in cyber criminal gaining unauthorized access to corporate network, enabling them to steal business data. Data is very important in any organization or any business. So we should be aware that before clicking on any link, we should be aware that uh, if it is required, then only we should click on that link, because this attacker uh, play with our trust, and they trick up. And if we click on the link, our sensitive information, that like account number, credit card data, and other login credentials, can easily be accessed by them. And it can lead to a disaster that should not happen to anyone else. So the second common security threat are SQL injection. SQL injection is a web security threat in which attacker exploit vulnerabilities in an application code. But here, OutSystem providers it provide a default SQL injection prevention in all the application. Basically, we have an expand inline property. If we use any aggregate or advanced SQL in our OutSystem application, by default the expand inline property is always set to false. But if we disable that property, uh, then we are open to SQL injection attack. We get an warning message uh, in our true change part of OutSystem Service Studio, where OutSystem warns us that you have enabled the expand inline property. So there might be some SQL injection attack. So if we disable that property, so we have to handle that at from our end. Uh, so OutSystem help us by providing that warning and errors in the Service Studio itself. Secondly, here is an example of SQL injection that you can see in figure number one. Uh, Basically, we in OutSystem SQL, we always have an input parameter. So so here we can see that expand inline property is set to yes. If it is set to yes, then it shows that the code assumes that the request arrives from a valid client ID like OUI 12345. If this happen, then we have the SQL in figure 2 and everything occurs rightly. Means if everything is fine, then it assumes that the input that is coming from the front end is a valid input, and the system processes the request and give us the result. However, an attacker may exploit the assumption by modifying the URL parameter, passing string dummy, or it can change our input parameter. So as you can see in image third, uh, there is a change there is a change in the client ID. So by passing this query parameter directly in SQL statement, the code return the data of each and every user, which should not be done, as it should return only the client ID, client specific data as per that ID that is been sent. So this is not a good idea for disabling the expand inline property in our system. Uh, the next, so also we can how to escape that in out system, means how can we avoid SQL injection. If we set an expand inline property to yes, you can deactivate the default escape content from the platform, and we need to handle it at our own side. Also, if our application is being redirected to some another links or another portal, so we can use an encode SQL function, that is an inbuilt function in our system, which help us to protect from any SQL injection. So as you can see, the wrong way and correct way. The wrong way is that there is no any built-in function that our system provide is being used in the expand inline clause. But the correct way is that we can make use of verify SQL literals and encode SQL functions, so that our data is being secured, and if there is any uh, wrong input from front end, so it can be handled easily. Second common security threat is cross-site scripting, which is XSS, is a full form of security issue that enable attacker to execute malicious script on trusted website. Basically, cross-site scripting results when there is any change in HTML malicious code while user interaction. So the attacker can then see the user identity to carry out malicious activity. The user gain the authorized access to corporate information and steal the data. So out system in for preventing this out system, in out system we can use make use of CSP. Uh, that is a common security practice which we can enable which we can enable through service center, uh, and it helps to increase the security of your application. Basically, CSP can be enabled through service center for any particular environment or for all environment. For example, if we have a development environment, a test environment, and a pre-prod and production environment, so you can enable the CSP protection for all the environment. Or if you want to enable for any specific application, then too we can enable that in service center and from the lifetime. uh, so now, why is security important in application development? Application security describes security measures at application level that aim to prevent data or code within the app from being stolen or hijacked. As I told that nowadays, in the era of internet, everyone is running behind the data, and data is the most crucial part in any organization or business. So to tamper or to destroy any business, if someone hacked or store our data, then it can be a disaster for any organization. So security in any application development is very important. uh, Whether we follow any application development phase like HDLC or agile, application should be the main concentration where of the developer, uh, so that the apps can be protected till that they get deployed, and even after the application have been deployed, we should provide continuous updation in the security of application. So there are different type of application security features in our system that we can include, such as authentication, authorization, encryption, logging, and application security test. A developer can make use of this security feature as per their requirement. Uh, so now we will be talking about OutSystem security architecture, how OutSystem handles security out of the box. Uh, the application that we build using OutSystem are benefit with extra level of security in application in code itself. OutSystem high level building blocks automatically include secure code patterns that protect the application from common web and mobile application vulnerabilities. Uh, we developers work with high level of abstraction. The generated application automatically embed many security protection, such as such as SQL injection or automatic CSRF protection. We can make use of CSP content security policy by enabling CSP through service center and lifetime from our environment for our environment and applications. Some of the built-in security features of OutSystem includes broken access control. This is basically a role-based access control that restrict the access of a user to any particular page, and within page also, if we want that any particular part or block is to be visible to any particular role, then we can make use of them. uh, Developer define application permissions for role using visual building blocks. Second is cryptographic failure. To protect your data in transit, OutSystem allow us to enable SSL in our infrastructure. OutSystem make use of HTTPS to ensure that any content that we load on server uh, are loaded on a secure connection. Thirdly, we have injection. Our system provide a set of sanitization function that developer can use in advanced scenario to avoid code injection in HTML, JavaScript, and SQL snippets. Using this function, developer can remove potential malicious content coming from user input before it's stored in database or rendered on the browser. So, as I told before, SQL injection and cross-site scripting are two major security threats, and out system as built-in functions that help us to prevent them. Built-in security feature that help us to remove or tackle those threats in our application. Second, we have insecure design. Our system allow the developer to override the default secure code pattern for advanced customization scenario. Basically, if there are any design issues in our application, the OutSystem IDE itself, that is the that is the service studio itself, provide many warnings and other warnings in the true change, in the true change box, where we can figure out the warnings and we can remove that, we can tackle those from our application. Then we have software and data integrity failure. Uh, Basically, whenever we are using any APIs like consuming or exposing APIs in our application, OutSystem provide with serialization and deserialization function that help us to validate the input that we are passing through, that we are passing in the API for, and the response that we are getting. So this serialization and deserialization mechanism is a very great built-in security feature of OutSystem that prevent us from sending tampered input in the API, and also for checking that the response that we are getting, that is as per our structure of data that we want to, that we get in the JSON format or not. Now we have client side security and server side security in our application. So let us understand what is client side security. Uh, client side Client side security protect user from malicious activity on web pages that are accessed over the user device. For this, for example, we can validate the user input in the screen at screen level itself. If we want any particular data type of any particular variable, so that can be handled in our system. We can also set the mandatory and non-mandatory, uh, and also the enabled and disabled functionality for any input or any variable that we are taking as an input from the front end through user side. Server side security protects the data and application on the server, which often handles sensitive user data. So both server side and client side security are important. At client side, we can prevent the malicious input from the user. We can validate that, and for proper validation, we can, before storing it to the database or any sending it in API, we can validate that in server side also. So server side enforce data integrity and security for every single request, even after the go through the client side logic. Even if we validate the data at client side, server side help us to validate the request again, so that the data remains pure and there is no any risk of vulnerability in our application. So this is a snippet of how client side security and server side security works. So client side security protect users from malicious activity on web pages access from their device. Server side security protects data and application on the server. More vulnerability to security risk because it is visible to user. Server side is less vulnerable to security risk because it is not directly accessible by the user. Some of the example of client-side security include CSP, Web Application Firewall, JavaScript when vulnerability scanning, and at server-side security we have authentication authorization, data encryption, secure server configuration, and regular security audits. So here a term comes like encryption and decryption. So OutSystem provide us with two basic encryption and decryption algorithms that are AES and RES. As per our requirement, we can encrypt the data and decrypt the data. Uh, Also, we can integrate if we have some .NET code or some Java code for any encryption or decryption, that we can make use in our application with the help of integration studio. We can integrate with that code. So this also help for removing the vulnerabilities in our application. Secondly, why we should follow security in HDLC, that is software development lifecycle. We all know that for developing an application, we need to follow a complete development lifecycle. So while starting from the data collection phase itself, security should be the main center of any developer while developing an application. So here are some best practices for secure HDLC. uh, we should first figure out the security requirements. uh, This can be done at the requirement gathering phase. Secondly, we have security testing. We can perform security testing throughout the SDLC, including static code review and testing in parallel with development. Also, HDLC is important because it helps to reduce the risk by catching threats early and improving overall security of an application. It helps us to increase the output, lower cost, and reduce potential exposure to compliance problem. Then we can do architectural risk and analysis, that at architecture level how we can remove the flaws and identify the flaws and risk. A proper architecture is always important for any application that is to be developed. Then we should prioritize the risk, focus on the most serious threats and feasible remedies. We should figure out that if we want to validate the user, if there is no any login screen in our application, but then too if we want to validate the user, so how can we make sure that only authorized person access our application? So for example, if this is a scene that there is no any login screen in our application, so we can make two-factor authentication, that can be enabled in our system also. If any user, if any application is there in which we require a mobile phone for accessing, then we can take the mobile number as an input. We can send an OTP through an SMS, and then we can verify and validate the OTP in the server side, that the OTP that our system has sent is been accessed by the correct person, and uh, uh, correct person is accessing our application. So two-factor authentication, OTP validation. We can also use AD authentication in our application, so as to reduce anonymous user, and also anonymous user and the user that are only been are only been provided to access our application. Then we have communication. We should communicate with our stakeholders the vulnerabilities and the necessary action that should be taken to ensure security in our application. Then we have security monitoring. We should monitor each and every process that are being used to compile the software and deploy the product. Then we have security assessment. After complete development of our application, we should do testing. That is a basic principle of any application. We should test. We can do white box testing, black box testing, and also user testing at each and every stage of our application development. Then OutSystem provide us with some basic error handling and logging thing. So OutSystem help us to show warnings and error to the developer at each and every state. As you can see in the error below, that there are some warnings and error be displayed in the IDE itself. So the developer can figure out those, and they can take necessary actions to resolve those errors and warnings, so that it does not tamper the application performance, and the application development goes on smoothly. So while developing your application, OutSystem validates for implementation and issue error and warning depending on severity of the problem. Both error and warning can occur at any stage of module life cycle, like implementing some logic, designing a screen, testing, query, and publishing to the server. OutSystem also provide us with handling exceptions. Uh, in OutSystem, we can handle the exception using exception handler flow element by raising exception in your logic. We can use different type of exceptions that OutSystem provide. uh, the main is the user exception, database exception, security exception, communication exception. So basically user exception occurs uh, when the user is not been a part of our if there are specified user for any application, and then if it is not any part, or the user take any unnecessary uh, action or some input, then we have the user exception. Database exception occurs when there is any vulnerability in the data that we are providing as an input, that is been processed or validated at the server side. At that time we can handle the database exception. Security exception can be done using authentication and authorization, that whether the person accessing the application is a valid person, or the credentials that he is using to our that he is using for login in our application are valid or not, or is the user registered or not registered. So we can all test that and handle that in our security exception. We also have communication exception and about activity change exception. Then we have logging practices. So application logging plays an important role in security as it allow you to as you allowed you to track temporal information on significant events. Outsystem providers with logging, we can log each and every end user end user thing that a user do with our application. Means we can see what track the entire action flow, that where and at which level what user has been doing with our application, so that we can take necessary action to resolve those. By logging events such as end user application login, access control failure, or server side input validation failure, we collect the sufficient end user context to identify suspicious or malicious account. The logged information is available at runtime in Service Center console. We can we and In Service Center, beside the monitoring tab, we have an error log screen where we can see each and every activity, each and every screen events that occur, and how long it is taking place. We can also track the IP address of the user, so that if any user do any malicious activity, so we can figure out them and we can avoid further access of that particular IP in our application. So some of the best practices for login and avoiding logging sensitive information in our systems are, uh, we should not avoid we should not we should avoid logging non-essential information that can increase the cost, log level, and time to insight. We should also not log sensitive information of uh, like personal identification, application secure code, and proprietary data. We should use a unique identifier for identifying a user instead of username and email. Then we can encrypt the sensitive data. uh, this can help us to this can help us to protect our data from any suspicious user. We can also make use of AI Mentor Studio. This is a tool that our system help us to validate and fix security patterns in our application. Our system also provide us built-in SHA 512 algorithm that can be used. Also, we also, while using APIs like REST API, logs are being created in our system, and we can access that. Also, when we consume or expose any API in our system, we have two more additional action that we can make use of, that are on before request and on after response. So our system provides us with these two API actions, so that we can authenticate and authorize the user that is been accessing to our system, to our APIs, and the data that we are getting as a response from the API. Also, we can switch off the logging. You can go to the service center management, open your application, and uncheck the auditing options. So these are some of the best practices for logging that our system provide to avoid logging sensitive information. So this is the service center snapshot that I have pasted here. Beside the monitoring tab, we can see the error logs. We can see the server actions, screen actions, and other stuffs. We can also have a security tab in service center where we can check the security at each and every environment of our environment. Also, service center audit logs can be accessed through lifetime. So we can see here the lifetime snapshot from where we can access the audit logs. Then we have some our system also provide us tool for app security. So firstly, we can monitor our app security in service center console itself. uh, Here we can see each and every front end server associated with our application, associated with our environment. We can see the environment health and other stuff. It provides access to application logs, error, web and mobile request, integration calls, business process, and security audits. Additionally, it displays the current status of environment structure and services. and allow creation of aggregation reports over the available data. Not only we can figure out that what is wrong with our environment, or if is there any security breach, but also OutSystem Service Center provide us with an aggregation reports so that it can be more easier to tackle them. Then we have lifetime analysis. This is also important. Monitor app security tool. Lifetime analytics provide immediate insight into the performance and end user experience for our traditional web application or reactive web application. It measures end user experience based on industry standard indicators. Uh, uh, we can check different bottlenecks on different level like client, network, and server side. Then we have app feedback. Uh, App feedback application that help us to connect with our stakeholders and to take the feedback of our business, to take the feedback from our business user. It allows us to streamline the feedback gathering process and tackling the difficulties. So with the help of this feedback, continuous feedback, we can help us to it help us to see the defects or security breach in our application, that where the end user is facing problem, and we can resolve those issues based on the feedback that we get. Then we have AI Mentor Studio. I think uh, this is the main security monitor application security tool in that OutSystem provide, where we can see our all the application that are been uh, that are been safe, or that are been safe, or there any common technical debt. So AI Mentor Studio is an OutSystem tool that enable IT users to visualize complex cross portfolio architecture and identify problems, which also help developer to follow best practices and avoid common pitfalls. AI Mentor Studio help us to validate and fix the security pattern identified in the applications. So based on this, in the snapshot we can see that the application that are green in color are free of any technical debt, whereas the application that are red in color or in that shade, they might contain some technical debt. So this AI Mentor Studio help us to figure out that, and we can take necessary action so that we resolve those technical depth in our application. So that's all for from my side. Now we are open to Q&A. If anyone have any questions, that then we can take it. Over to you, Anuj.
Thank you so much, Avinash. It was a great session. If anybody is having any questions regarding the presentation, feel free to raise your hands or you can unmute yourself and come up with the questions. And Avinash, do we have the quiz also?
Yes, we have. Yes, we have, Anuj.
Let's wait for 2 minutes. If somebody is having any questions, we can try to answer those. And if not, then we can get started with the quiz.
Hey
Yes,
Avinash, this is Navin here. I have a question. Actually, we are sending request from client to server.
yes.
If somebody can use JAP tool in their device, they can able to view our data, that API calls. How to secure those?
If you are sending, are you redirecting to any external URLs or within an application?
No, like kind of we are doing user management in one of our application. From screen, we are allowing user to change user our system default user entity, and we are that sending the data. In between, they can able to view that using penetration testing. What we found, they can able to view the data using JAP tool. It's kind of proxy tool.
Okay.
We
So
are,
you
we are following the PA and all. We are not showing any sensitive information, but still we don't wanna someone see our application data.
Uh, so as I mentioned before, you can make use of encryption algorithms in your application. If there are many algorithms available like AES-256 that we use in our most of our application to secure user information. So what will happen, even if you send any user input, so it will be encrypted, and that encryption key remains to your team only specifically. So for accessing any kind of encrypted data, you will require the key to decrypt it. Unless and until you provide the key, the data will not be decrypted. So that can be a a solution for your problem, Priya
Okay.
Naveen.
Thank you. Thank you. Will it increase any latency between calls? Like,
No, no. There will be no any latency because OutSystem there is a building function available in OutSystem, so you can make use of that also. And if not, if you are not sure with that, you can make use of C sharp code. You can write your own AES algorithm and you can integrate that with your application. It will work fine.
okay, thanks. Could you please help me with the name of default function? What our system giving us?
Uh, Yes, I'm not remembering now. May I? You can connect me afterward. I can help you out with this because we are using this in our many of the application. As you told that for VAPT problems we do that. Yes.
Sure,
So
sure.
Naveen, like if right now we don't have the answers, Avinash can share it in WhatsApp group. So
Sure.
answers, so you can check over there.
Yeah, sure, Anil. That will help. Sorry, one more. I have one more question. Like you said, we can implement single sign-on. Is there any default, like an out system, can we able to defaultly do that, or we need to use Microsoft something, Azure or something?
Yes, we can integrate with Microsoft or Azure. All you can make use of Okta 2.0 that can be easily integrated to your system.
Okay, but I mean, out system won't have any default, right? Default.
Uh, Currently, I don't think that there is any single SSO available. So,
Okay, sure, Anna. Sandanis. Thanks for that. Yes, thanks. That's all my friend.
yes, thank you.
If anyone is having any other question, feel free to ask. Otherwise, we can get started with the quiz. We'll wait for 1 more minute and then maybe we can start with the quiz. I think Avinash, we don't have any questions as of now. So it was a great presentation. And if somebody is having any questions, they can ask in our WhatsApp group, and there maybe you can come up with the answers later on. So if you want, you can get started with the quiz. Avinash, you are on mute. We are not able to hear you.
I'm so sorry. I have pasted the quiz link in the chat window. You can access that if it is accessible.
So right now we are not able to access the quiz. Okay, now we are able to. Okay, awesome. Meanwhile, I'll also paste in the WhatsApp group link in the chat. If somebody wants to join in, feel free to join using that link. So 13 participants joined, 15 joined, 17, 18 joined. So the person who will be winning the quiz will be getting swags from Outsystems. So I encourage everyone to participate. 19 joined, 20, We'll wait for 1 more minute and then we can get it started. There are 8 more people in the. Okay, 22 joined. If anybody is facing any problem while joining the quiz, feel free to let us know. Otherwise, we can get it started. Awesome. So 23 joined. I think everybody has joined and we can get it started, Avinash.
Yeah, sure. What does application security means?
3 seconds to go. Okay, 93% of the people answered it right. Awesome.
What does CIA security stands for?
Most of the people should get it right.
Yes,
Avinash
yes.
explained it very clearly.
Oh, 81% got it right. Yes.
Okay, awesome, awesome. It is going great.
What are the complementary concept to CIA model that are recently added to CIA model?
Oh, a lot of people got it wrong. No worries, no worries. This is going to be the important question that will decide who is going to be the winner.
Yes, yes. What are the medium responsible for phishing?
Most of the people will get it right. I think now it is about who is getting it fast. 95% of people got it right.
95%. Oh. How SQL injection occurs? Nice one.
Awesome. 5 more
95.
questions to go.
Yes.
Give your best, guys.
XX stands for. Oh, 63% only got it right.
This is going to be important question, I think.
Yes,
That
yes.
will decide who is going to the winner.
Role based authentication can be achieved by server side.
Time is also very important. So who will be the putting the answer fastest will be on higher rank.
We have three more questions left, guys. Buck up. What mechanism that our system used to protect SQL injection attack? Oh, last two more questions to go. How does our system protect against reflected and excesses vulnerabilities? The 31% got it right. Last question of the quiz.
Okay, okay. Let's see who is the winner.
Oh, we have Rahul. Second, we have
Rahul,
Subbu.
awesome. And then Saad. Okay, awesome. Let me take a screenshot of it so that Cyber from Outsystems will be reaching out to you guys for the swags. So maybe if you can send your email IDs as well, that will help Cyber to reach out to you, the winners.
Congratulations to all the winners.
Yes, congratulations, Rahul, Subbu, and Shahad.
And thank you everyone who participated in it. You all made it really a great event. And thank you, Avinash, for guiding us through such an insightful session. And if you anybody is having any questions, feel free to ask in the WhatsApp group. Avinash and other team members will try to answer in that.
Yes,
Siddharth, you are
yes,
having something? I think you raised the hand.
Yeah, Anuj, I need to, add in that WhatsApp group. So who can add me in that group? Because I am also from Mumbai. So
So I have added the WhatsApp link over there, and in the
let
last in the
let
okay,
chat
me let me share the QR
QR
code
code.
for that. Yes, it
Yeah,
will
that
be
that will
more.
be that will be great.
Yes,
yeah, okay. Thank you, Avinash.
yes, yes. Thank you, Siddharth. You can scan out this QR code to join in our WhatsApp group.
Hello, Avinash, can you hear me?
Yes, yes,
Yeah, Avinash. Sorry, I haven't got any mail regarding the class. So I have joined class lately. How could I get the recordings of this class?